Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of Wealth Strategies Unleashed. I'm Robert Gilliland, and today I got to tell you, I am beyond excited. We have the CEO of Sanctuary Wealth, Adam Malamed, here to help us out and kind of walk us through what clients should be thinking about when they're working with a financial advisor. Adam, I'm going to ask you here in just a second to share a little bit about yourself, but I want to kind of brag a little bit. Not only is he CEO of Sanctuary Wealth, which is absolutely a fantastic one of the fastest growing firms out there in the independent space, but he also brings to it the approach of making sure that clients are educated, they understand and know what they should expect from their financial advisor. He's also a board member of the Financial Services Institute. That's us boys from East Texas, we can't say that real fast. And so he sees a lot of the different things that are happening and what clients are demanding. So Adam, hey, thanks for joining us. And kind of to start off, tell us kind of a little bit more kind of about your background and where you are and what you do.
Yeah, and Robert, let me just thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's exciting to be able to talk to you about things that I'm passionate about, things that I know that you are super passionate about as well, and just to get the story out more that, what is truly focused on client centricity. So I really do think that's important, your topic of conversations. Again, I'm Adam Malamed. I'm the CEO of Sanctuary Wealth. I've been in the wealth management industry for 30 years. Different than most is I've been in the independent wealth management industry for most of my entire career. I was in the independent wealth management space before it was cool to be independent. Had run many public and private companies, and had much success in the industry. And 2 years ago, I was given the most fortunate opportunity to become the CEO of Sanctuary Wealth and partner, Robert, with people like yourself in an amazing industry that can put its clients first, that offer their clients more products, more services, better technologies than I think you can in any other industry that services the evolving needs of individual investors throughout our country. And again, at Sanctuary, we've seen some explosive growth. I guess just what is it that we do? Sanctuary is a partner to Concenture. Sanctuary is a partner to you, where we provide you with basically your entire suite of what it is you have to do to help your clients on a daily basis, whether it's compliance, regulatory, finance, accounting, technology platforms, diligence, product access, custodial access, human resource, everything, a professional services firm that provides you with everything you need in order to serve your clients best. And that's how I basically could sum up Sanctuary in maybe 2 sentences. Maybe I went 3.
Well, you shared with me, you just got back from a board meeting with the Financial Services Institute, and kind of an annual meeting. Let's talk a little bit about the trends in financial services and things that clients should be thinking about. A lot of times we'll talk with people and they'll say, I've got a broker. Well, that's not the way that this world is anymore. What are the trends that people should be thinking about or that you're seeing in the industry right now?
There's so much to, there's so many layers of that question to peel back, Robert. There is so much in trends that are going on in our industry, and it's specifically, I think it ties back to significant demographical trends of the U.S. population and macro trends as it relates to, asset growth or assets in the United States, generational wealth transfer in the United States that influence behaviors of investors. I think that, where I'm seeing significant trends, which is all supported by, this data of how we as a U.S. base of investors are evolving, is really, I would say, 3 areas. Number one is something that I call the democratization of the family office. The second one would be the evolution of alternative products, and alternative products being becoming more and more a part of investors' portfolios. And the third one would be the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence. And, I know that's something that's near and dear to your heart and something that you've been implementing in your business as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's just so that everyone kind of understands this family office and democratization is what you said about the family office. What should clients be expecting around that?
So let me explain that to you. Let me dive into that one a little bit more. A family office is just a huge set of services that historically have been offered to the ultra wealthy, ultra high net worth investors with, $50 million, $100 million, $1 billion. They have a family office that really caters to all of their needs. It provides them services that go beyond just investment management. They really become a holistic life coach, a holistic financial planning life coach, handling bill pay, family governance, charitable giving, complex tax planning, estate planning services. And what we've seen over time is that those services that were historically only offered to really high net worth, ultra high net worth investors are now being demanded by mass affluent and high net worth investors. What's some of the challenges about its availability is that it takes a sophisticated advisor like yourself in order to deliver those services. So why are we seeing these trends happen? And, just think a little bit more macro about the United States of America. We have about $60 trillion. That's trillion with a T.
Big number.
$60 trillion of investable assets in our country. Over the next 10 years, that's set to grow to about $90 trillion. Now, this is also happening. I mean, it's massive asset growth over a 10-year time frame. This is also happening while what's called the great generational wealth transfer is happening, where over the next 22 years, $90 trillion is going to pass hands from older generations, the baby boomers, to the younger generations, to the millennials. And as this younger cohort starts to have more wealth, more significant wealth, there's more services that they need. There's more complexities that come with having more wealth that they need. And they need that from advisors that have the experience and sophistication to answer that call. So we're seeing more trends where high net worth investors, mass affluent investors that need more help from an advisor like yourself for complex tax planning, for complex estate planning, really thinking about the next 30, 40 years of their life cycle. How are they going to plan for their estate? Finally, what are they planning for their goals and their dreams in their life? So We're seeing, so this is what I would call the democratization of the family office. These services that historically have been provided to really the ultra high net worth it's now basically being demanded. And you'll see a big change of that over the next 10 years by these mass affluent and high net worth investors.
It's interesting you say that because that's something that I would say really over the last 18 to 24 months, the more we've been engaged in the conversations with clients, maybe these are clients we've worked with for a long time, you're exactly right. They want to make sure that we understand and know what their, let's say, estate plan. They want us to have conversations with their kids so that their kids have a good relationship with money. They understand that you're exactly right. The demand is absolutely there. And yeah, we have to manage it in a tax efficient way and make sure we're taking advantage of everything that's inside there. It's been, you're exactly right, that it has made it so that I'll call it that millionaire next door needs and wants that because they just don't really know where to go and they don't have relationships that are deep really with an attorney. That's more of a transaction based type of.
And it's interesting, Robert, you mentioned like the millionaire next door. The millionaire next door over the next 10 years is going to have significant growth of their assets organically outside of, whatever earnings they're able to save for as well. But they're also a part of that great generational wealth transfer.
Right.
So their assets are going to grow. Their assets are going to grow from income, for organic growth, and then this potential inheritance by the older generation, and it just becomes more complex. And you will see, as you're saying, you're seeing this over the past 18 months, you're going to see that significantly increase as it relates to your clients needing more services from you over the next 5 and 10 years.
Well, and the other thing is the huge relief that comes off of them when we say, is this an issue? We can help. That huge relief that's inside there. When you go in and you kind of look at the perfect, and this is maybe not necessarily a fair question, but when you go in and you look kind of at the perfect relationship with an investor from a client standpoint, based off of what you know, what does that actually look like? How does the industry look at what if the financial advisor is really doing their job? What exactly does that relationship look like?
So listen, again, I think a lot of this has to do with the different cohorts of clients that exist today, Robert. I don't think that you can define a perfect relationship. I would more put that on the onus of you and I to say that, there are different cohorts of clients, whether, let's say, a millennial client might have different needs than a baby boomer client, maybe different engagement needs, different technology needs, different product needs, different timeline of when they need their access to their capital. And I would say that this younger generation is also changing the needs of the older generation. So we're seeing that more and more, that for you and I, it can't be, and we talk about this a lot internally here at Sanctuary, that I don't believe that you can have a cookie cutter to sit there and say, this is the absolute perfect relationship that you have with your client. It's not a one size fits all approach. It's a one size fits one approach, because every client is different. Every client's needs are different. Their assets are different. Their family needs are different. And as long as they're dealing with, and I think you are the prime example of that, of a sophisticated financial advisor that truly understands the needs of all these different cohorts. I don't think that and I know you don't look at it as cookie cutter. You curtail it based on the client that you have. And being able to do that then begs the question, does the advisor have the access to the products that their varying clients need? Do they have access to the services that we spoke about before? Are they experts in the services? And if they're not experts, do they have the partnerships with the services? Do they have the tools and the solutions to handle the different cohorts that exist? And then finally, are they able to communicate or engage with clients that are different? As I think, you've been, I think, one of the first movers at Sanctuary as it relates to AI-driven tools. I think you're being very thoughtful about looking at the future of the industry, about being ahead of the pack on how you communicate with your different clients and different cohorts that you service on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's not a conversation that doesn't go by where people wonder about AI and whether or not and how we use it, which really helps it make it so that we're able to be more efficient and reach people where they want to be reached. And it's interesting. You talked about how those different cohorts, they want to be contacted differently. We just last week with a new client asked them, what's our best way to get in touch with you? And her response is, I'm busy all day long. Your best way to get me if it's during the day is a text. Don't call my cell phone because I don't answer it. And I'm either on a phone or a Zoom call. A text is what I need to do. And so it's interesting in the way that you've got to communicate. You've got to, as a wealth manager, should communicate with a client the way a client wants to be communicated with, right?
Yeah, and what I find is interesting is the data supports. You would think it would be opposite, but the millennial generation, although maybe they'll perhaps tell you that they want and they do want to use online tools, social media to connect. The millennials, the data supports that they want more in-person interaction, in-person experiences than the baby boomers did. It's actually fascinating data.
When you think of this from a client's point of view, knowing what you know about the industry and where people are successful, what sort of mistakes do you, from a client's point of view, do you think that clients make with regard to their relationships with advisors? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. I see where do I think the biggest mistakes come? Sometimes has to do with, the emotional aspects of the way they think about investments and their money, their nest eggs, their. And I guess it's just the reliance and the trust and the confidence that they have in their financial advisor. I wouldn't say it's their mistakes. It's where I see the most successful relationships. Because it can become very emotional for somebody that doesn't sit and live and breathe what you and I do every day.
Right.
And I think that working with a sophisticated financial advisor that can really talk through the emotional aspects of a life's journey is probably one of the most important aspects of a financial advisor or holistic life manager's relationship with their clients.
It is, that's exactly what they want. They kind of want someone to kind of help explain, here what the choices are, and here's what this is good about, and understand and know and say, oh yeah, by the way, don't forget about this right here. If you're flying on an airplane, which you do a lot, and someone next to you, they find out, this may be a bit redundant, so excuse me, but what are the big things that they should be when they're saying, oh yeah, I've got to get someone, I'm about ready to retire? Is there anything kind of in particular you would say, hey, you want to make sure X, Y, and Z inside of there, making sure that they communicate kind of up front, anything kind of that someone who's a client, who is looking to engage a wealth manager or make a change, that they really should know? I always tell people that you have to make sure you like, know, and trust that person, right? And because there's not many things that are much more personal than your financial situation.
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. Like, knowing, trusting as somebody is imperative. Trust is earned over time. But then if I peel that back a little bit further, and I just think through, let's say, if I was an investor, young or old, and I think we had talked about this earlier about just think about some of the issues that I might want to just think a little bit deeper from an investor's perspective. I would say I would bucket into three different areas, and we spoke about this earlier. Outside of the trust, let's just say now you move beyond the trust and you're dealing with the relationship. I would say it's, number one is, I think investors want to understand that they're planning for their dreams. So ensuring that they work with somebody like you, that they trust that they're never going to outlive their money and build a nest egg and have goals and dreams that they can answer to. The other one is, we spoke a little bit about, is access to varying and different products that are out there. And we've seen a lot of evolution of products throughout the industry, and ensuring that a client has somebody that truly understands what's out there that they can make investments in, I think is crucial to the future of an advisor-client relationship. I mean, just look at from a performance perspective, look at some of the data that's out there, and, the historic 60-40 model, if you will, and you just compare returns over time, to, let's say, institutional type of returns that are out there, which really use some alternative type products. And I know you deal with, some type of alternative product, but the return metrics on some of these products are, better than just a 60-40 model split. And, what you see is that, the more sophisticated advisors that understand and have access to these products, they provide better performance for their clients. And then it's just, I would say the third one would be, if I'm sitting there and thinking about your question about what clients should be thinking about, it's just the expansive list of services that she should really be relying on somebody like you for. And we talked about it, complex, tax codes change all the time. We see different administrations that come in there, and how is, tax planning going to affect the long-term aspect of your investment, of your portfolio, also from an estate perspective, charitable giving, even family governance issues, which I know you also deal with that a lot with your clients, or things that clients should be thinking about more and more.
Right. Hey, Adam, I got to have you back to talk more about what the future really looks like. And so I want to dig more into that alternative and that AI and some of those tools. But I know you're a busy man, so I want to say thank you for us kind of going through. And I think the big takeaway is that if someone is working with an advisor and they're not that holistic, it's more than just stocks, bonds, cash, more than just what that asset allocation is, more than just you answering a 10-questionnaire about your risk tolerance. There's a lot more that wealth managers need to be doing, helping both sides of the balance sheet, helping make sure that the client's dreams are able to be reached, managing and monitoring all of that, and keeping score as you go along. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us, and look forward to having you back here real soon.
Well, it was great to be here, Robert. You summarized my thoughts in a way where I think you have valuable insights to share with your clients and others. So I appreciate you giving me a platform to share some of my thoughts with you.
Awesome. Thank you. I look forward to having you back. We'll talk to you soon. And to everyone, hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we will see you next week.
The information contained herein is intended to be used for educational purposes only and is not exhaustive. Diversification and/or any strategy that may be discussed does not guarantee against investable losses, but are intended to help manage risk and return. If applicable, historical discussions and/or opinions are not predictive of future events. The content is presented in good faith and has been drawn from sources believable to be reliable. The content is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Please consult a legal, tax, or financial professional for information specific to your individual situation.
This work is powered by Concenture Wealth Management, registered representative of Sanctuary Securities, Inc., an investment advisor of Sanctuary Advisors, LLC. Securities offered through Sanctuary Securities, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Advisor services offered through Sanctuary Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Concenture Wealth Management is a DBA of Sanctuary Securities, Inc. and Sanctuary Advisors, LLC.